welcome back to Cindy's Library. And today I'm going to talk about what I have read for the first half of the month of March. I think I'm going to be doing that in the future as a general rule. I think it may be easier. I'm also planning, I won't say that I won't do two videos a week, but definitely one. But if I really don't have anything more to vlog about, then I'm not going to feel an obligation to do a video just because. I want what I do for you guys to be worthwhile, so we'll do that going forward. I actually already did this video, but it didn't turn out quite the way I had wanted or hoped. So we are going to redo it. But it's been a rather fun first half of the month reading wise so far. Starting with Howl's Moving Castle, the Cinnamanga version. Howl's Moving Castle is a middle grade young adult novel by Diana Wynne Jones, which is wonderful, which I'm actually in the middle of reading right now and I'm quite enjoying. Or I should say it's a reread. And Hayao Miyazaki, an internationally acclaimed Japanese animator and director, I want to say around 2004, he released a movie of this, which in many ways is faithful to the book. It takes a few departures. It is also still a fun ride. Let's see. So this is what Cinnamanga looks like, where they take actual stills from the movie and put them in order and add in dialogue bubbles, basically. So I had a blast reading this. Read it before. I guess this is turning into the month of Howl's Moving Castle, and I'm going to do a special vlog about that upcoming in a bit. But this set has 4 volumes. And so if you're at all interested in that, that is something you should know. Very fun. What else I have read that was not on my list? Oh, The Wednesday Wars by Gary D. Schmidt. So this is a story of a boy named Holling Hoodhood. I believe when it starts he is in 7th grade, so middle school. And Holling has a problem. You see, half of his class is Jewish, and so they are let out early Wednesday afternoons to go to synagogue school for a couple hours. And the other half of his class is Catholic, so that half of the class is also let out early on Wednesday afternoons to go to Catholic school. Only one problem. Holling is neither Jewish nor Catholic. He happens to be Protestant with no extracurricular church school of any kind to go to. So he is stuck alone with his teacher, Mrs. Baker, for the rest of the afternoon. And at first she's not quite sure what to do with him. She has him doing a bunch of cleaning, but in some ways that doesn't turn out so well. He gets tons of chalk on some pastries that she's going to be taking to a function later that afternoon or evening. And he accidentally lets two rats out of their cage while trying to clean their cage. Yeah, there are some issues with Holing doing the cleaning like that. So Mrs. Baker, she comes up with the idea of making Holing study Shakespeare, starting with The Merchant of Venice, which is great, especially since his life starts reflecting art, so to speak, as he starts recognizing not direct parallels, but there's sure a lot of resonances with Holing's life and whatever Shakespeare play he happens to be working on at the moment. So Holing, he learned some life lessons thanks to Shakespeare and Mrs. Baker. This is a very atmospheric story. This is early 70s, so you've got Vietnam with all of the implications of that. We've got Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy. So plenty of historical touchstones as well in the Wednesday Wars. I would give this read a 4, at least a 4, I think, maybe even a 4.5. That is how much I enjoyed it. Oh, I should also say that this takes place in New York City. Might even be Brooklyn, I forget exactly what part of New York. Not the very central part, but yeah. Highly recommended for middle grade readers and for those who love middle grade. Now let's see. Oh, I think that was the main thing that I read that was not on my list. So let's go through a few things that were on my list. Sister of the Angels by Elizabeth Googe. Very slim volume. This is the only version I was able to find at all online. Hopefully they will be reprinting it in the not too distant future. Has cute illustrations in it. In this story, we go back to Torminster of the City of Bells fame. We don't really see Jocelyn or Felicity, but we get tons of Henrietta and Hugh Antony. Christmas is coming. Everyone is getting excited for that. Hugh Antony has come home from school. Exciting times when Henrietta encounters a man who looks like he could need some help, and she decides she wants to help him. So she tells her grandfather and her father about it. Actually, primarily her father, who's actually in town. And so ends up being plenty of Christmas surprises, both from this man and from everyone else, and even to this man, which is wonderful. It's just a wonderful read of good people trying to help each other, which is what I love about Elizabeth Googe. So if you can find it in your library, I can definitely recommend it, especially if you want more about Henrietta and Hugh Antony. Now, as far as the challenges go, oh, I forgot. I have read the first 4 chapters of A Little Princess by Hodgkinson's, I want to say. So, and I've also read the first 4 chapters of A Girl of the Limberlost by Jean Stratton Porter. So I'm ready for my book chat with my nieces. So hopefully we can do that soon. Now for the challenges. I read Mandy, which is written by Julie Andrews Edwards. Yes, that Julie Andrews. And this I'm counting as reading something written in the decade I was born, since this was written in 1971, and technically I was born in the 70s. So this is the story of Mandy. Mandy is an orphan. She's been there as long as she can remember. And this is a goodish orphanage. As far as that goes, as far as being kind and understanding and honestly doing their best for the children. But Mandy still has a huge hole in her heart, not having a family. And so when she comes across this cottage, she decides, since it appears to be abandoned, that she is going to fix it up and it's going to be her cottage. And she does indeed spend an enormous amount of time cleaning it up, weeding, gardening. Of course, the longer Mandy does this, the more it is noticed that she is often missing or has often disappeared, which is of concern to the matron and her best friend. Susan wonders what's going on, and it all comes to a head one day. And I can't say anything more about that except to say this is a very sweet story where everyone is honestly trying to do their best, I think. The adults are kind and are trying to be understanding, which is refreshing compared to some books that could be mentioned. Sorry about that. Never know when you're going to get interrupted. But let's see. So, yes, that was Mandy, and that was for the Decade of My Birth challenge for middle grade March. Let's see, the next challenge was retelling fairy tale vibe. And so for this one, I did The Book Wanderers by Anna James. It's the first of a series, very fun, about a girl named Tilly who is lucky enough to live with her grandparents who own a bookshop, and they practically live in the bookshop. It sounds like such a wonderful bookshop. I would love to go there. She lives with her grandparents because apparently her father died shortly after she was born, and not too long after that, her mother literally disappeared. No one has a clue what happened to her, not the police, not her grandparents, nobody. But one day, Tilly discovers she has the ability to book wander. She starts having Anna from Anne of Green Gables show up, and Alice from Alice in Wonderland starts showing up. And then she starts being able to actually enter into stories. And I'll also add here that another important book for this volume at least is A Little Princess. And all three of those books are wonderful. So you got Tilly learning she is a book wanderer, and her friend Oscar from school, his mother owns the bakery across the street from the bookshop. He gets involved as well. And so Tilly discovering about book wandering, what book wandering is all about. There's a mysterious man connected with book wanderers. Enoch, I'm forgetting his last name, but he is acting very weirdly, and so there's a mystery about him. And there's also the mystery about what happened to Tilly's mother. So I would give this, I would say a solid 4. Yeah, solid 4. And a solid 4 for Mandy as well. It's not quite fairy tale-ish, but it was suggested for the fairy tale prompt, and I've been wanting to read it, so I'm counting it anyway. And the last book that I read for this first half of the month is The Brave by James Bird. So this story is about a boy named Colin he compulsively has to count how many letters a person talking to him says, and then he says that number before he says any reply. He's currently living with his father, who, let's just say he's not dealing with things very well at the moment we begin. And so, yeah, Colin's father ends up deciding Colin should go spend some time with his mother, a mother who he's barely mentioned to Colin in all of Colin's 12 or so years of life. So Colin has to move from California all the way up to Minnesota, to where his mother is. His mother is Ojibwe. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. She is of the Ojibwe tribe, and so Colin is half Ojibwe. And so he starts to learn about a different pace of life, about life on the reservation, about his Native American heritage, and he also starts trying to learn about this mysterious girl who lives next door, Orenda, who she is an unusual girl. She thinks she's going to be a butterfly, and there are very good reasons for that. And so Colin, he learns how to accept himself, how to grow up, how to deal with his challenges, and help other people deal with challenges as well. It's definitely a coming of age story. And it's interesting that it has so many different things that you don't necessarily see, at least in the past. You haven't seen so much people with disabilities of various sorts, or so many stories focused on Native Americans. So I really quite enjoyed this one. I'd have to give it 4.5 stars, I would say. Anyway, that is what I have read for the first half of the month. Love to hear if you are doing the middle grade reading challenge. If so, I'd love to hear what you've chosen. I would love to hear, even if you aren't doing the middle grade challenge for this month, what you have been reading, if you have any suggestions or comments. So thank you for stopping by Cindy's Library. Until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy, and as always, happy reading.